Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
And I'm Randy.
This is episode 56 of our podcast, and the date is Friday, October 8th, 2021. Friday, we are recording a different day because life can suck.
Yes. It should be, we should be able to do all things geek that we want all the time.
And precisely when we want. But
correct. And never have to adjust and just say, dude, I'm playing D&D. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. I need you to quit delivering mail. I'm going to leave the middle of my class and we're going to play D&D for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And if I feel like it, I may not go back tomorrow.
Right. Ever. Right. So you got to play yesterday.
I did, dude. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I think again, some life things are affecting my full enjoyment of the game. You know what I'm talking about. I won't go into those details of private, but I still had some really interesting things I wanted to talk about, and I got to talk kind of abstractly because I want to run you and your wife and Patrick and his wife and possibly Greg T do another session of this. And they did not finish the adventure, so I'll probably do that group again, and you guys may need 2 sessions as well. It was a little longer than I thought. That's pretty standard for me. But there are some things I want to talk about, but I got to talk kind of in an abstract way because I don't want to give anything away. I did get a good test, but when we get to the sling and mud portion, I'll talk more in details about it. It was fun, but it was yeah. So I think I'll need some input. So
all right, sounds good. Yeah. We couldn't commit because of various things, and my wife is ill. I was kind of not feeling good the very beginning of the week, but
yeah, it happens. I thought I was going to have to cancel, but that worked out.
Yeah. All right. So shall we get into our one call-in?
Yeah. Sweet one.
Let's see.
It's funny they don't one call in. I wonder if we're getting boring. Well, I know I haven't been a good anchorite and call into shows, even when I thought they had good podcasts. I need to get focused on that. I've just been I'm listening to podcasts. I'm just not commenting. So
well, there's a lot of people on the Anchor. Like there's a Discord. I go to Audio Dungeon Discord, and it has a lot of the anchorites that we listen to on it. And anchorites, for those who don't know, are podcasters who use the Anchor app to, at the very least, distribute. A lot of them use it for other things. And anyway, the Audio Dungeon Discord, a lot of them were saying they were behind and whatnot on listening and leaving messages, except for John Allen Large, who said he finally got around to it and left us a message.
Right. Well, he did last time too. I think I just want the guys to know I haven't forgot them. I got a handful of folks I like to call into, and I want to get to that. So Jason.
Right. And I raised a ruckus on Jason's podcast and on the Audio Dungeon Discord as well.
Of course you did.
All I did was state an opinion, which wasn't popular.
There you go.
What can you do?
Well, I guess we're going to be the rebels of the anchorites.
Anyway, it's no big deal. So I'm going to do this.
I guess I ought to get on that Audio Dungeon Discord, give you a little support. So there are 2 of us that have bad ideas.
I'll throw you an invite.
All right.
Share one. Share.
I think Joe is doing his magic.
I am.
The scenes.
I'm twiddling my fingers and mumbling words of power.
Arcane power. All right.
Go.
Oh, hold on. I think there's some other ones by Jason. Did he talk about low decks? Is that from last? I don't think that's from last time. The one that says low decks thief.
Oh, okay. Straight down the line, you may be right. So it might be those 3.
We got a couple more, dude.
Okay.
I wish I had a date on there.
Anchor's stupid.
I mean, we love you, Anchor.
Oh,
Hey guys, busy morning, so I haven't been able to just burn through your podcast. I'm slowly working my way through as I can. When I talk about Low Decks Thief and early versions of the game, I'm talking about pre-Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, first edition versions of the game. You're right, even in first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, your decks will affect your thief abilities. But when you look at like the Holmes version, for example, of Basic, it doesn't. So in the Holmes version, your prime rec, in this case your dex, having a low dex would affect, it give a negative percentage to your experience points. But the only thing dex modifies in Holmes Basic is to hit with missile weapons. So a low dex thief would have -1 to hit with their missile weapons, but that's it. That is the only negative they get, aside from, having a penalty of experience points for the prime rec. So you could roll, you could say, I want to play a thief, and if you had a low dex.
You got a second one.
Whoops, I don't know if I sent that last message or not. I hope I didn't. But anyway, that's where I was going with that, because that low dex thief, it doesn't hurt anything but the experience points, which they have a lower experience points than everybody else anyway, so they're going to advance pretty quick. And a minus to hit with missile weapons, which again shouldn't be a big deal. So you could easily have a 3 or a 6 or a 7 in your decks and be a good thief. There's a call I tried to delete, so I don't know if you got it. If you got a call about me saying it doesn't affect magic users, you could play Astute Magic User, it does affect the spells magic user gets, even in Holmes BX. But in the case of the thief, it wouldn't matter.
Well, of course it affects the magic user, because we need to screw him every time.
yeah.
He needs to be on. But so yeah, I guess so I get the point there. I would say that if you have it's kind of weird that your low dex wouldn't affect your thiefly skills, but you could also be an intelligent thief. I mean, you could be someone that just, but a 3 dexterity, gosh, you would be a bumbling idiot.
Sure.
But I guess that was not thought about back in the day. Really, stats didn't mean all that much back in Moldvay in early days. I mean, actually, original OD&D, the best you can get is +1 from an 18.
Yeah. I think it's weird, though, if you're a clumsy thief. If you have a 3, it's not just you don't get bonuses. You're going to be noticeably clumsy. You're going to drop things and unsteady, no balance. And I'm the thief, but I can't stay on my feet very well, and I can't hold things in my hands very well, and it just seems weird. I mean,
Moldvay was not was Eric J. Holmes, that version of the first basic set that came out after the white box. I have a PDF version of that, and Holmes clearly, he kept referencing the white box. So they all looked back at it. And I think in the white box, Joe, I think really the original designer said the numbers, I'm not sure why they picked 3 to 18, because I think they really mechanically just thought of characters below average, average, or above average. That's it. And
it may also just be from the point of view that it was the first iteration and they didn't think of it.
Correct. Yeah, it didn't cross their mind. They're like, who cares?
Yeah.
A 3 is a 7, is a 3 is a 6, is a 5, is a 4, is a 3, is a 2, it's a 8. Who cares?
Yeah. There's 18 numbers, but really when it comes down to it, you only have a 5% difference of success. I mean, I don't know why they didn't think of it, but
yeah, it makes you wonder why they didn't go 1, 2, 3. Now strength is 3, meaning that'd be the number you'd use, because basically there's only 3 delineations. But yeah, Jason, he's got a point in terms of thinking meta wise, which we were talking about. It's not the end of the world to play a 3 dex thief in that game. There's no check below the ability score rules, so go for it. That, of course, if there was, that would be a point to make it a drawback.
Yeah, that was never a rule. That was mostly a house rule that folks introduced. That kind of was why,
I want to say it didn't become an actual rule till didn't we see it the first time in the books, like in the Dungeoneer or Wilderness Survival Guides, just before 2E? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Do you have either one of those books? The Dungeoneer Survival
Guide? I had at one point had the Dungeoneer Survival Guide.
I had everything,
but I don't remember the rules from it. It's been a long time.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Thanks, Jason. That is interesting.
Right.
Hey guys, it's John here from the Red Dice Diaries. Just listening to the end of your The Con Game episode. Loving all the talk about Cabin Con. I've got to say I'm a little bit jealous, guys. I may have to see if I can round up some folk that I game with in the UK and see if we can do our own version of it over here at some point, at least when things get a little bit more back to normal. I'm also glad you liked the episode I did on the con drain / level drain. And yeah, I think it works really well. If for no other reason than, as you were saying, Joe, it's an absolute ball ache having to do all the recalculating of things due to losing a level like midway through a session, whereas con is a lot easier to do. It also makes the undead who have this drain a lot more dangerous in the short term, but without the sort of long-lasting dragging on effects or the slog of having to work your way back up through those levels. Enjoying the episode, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, and I remember wrestling with that idea, John, back in first edition near the end. And Joe knows I love me some undead, and I really didn't care how bad they screwed the players over. In fact, I kind of enjoyed it. That might have been why I liked the undead.
Right, especially the energy drain.
Ha. Here's 5 levels. Here's 6 taken away. Look at that.
Now, I remember in when third edition, one of the things we liked about third edition is instead of you removing levels, you just took a penalty of 1 for each of your negative levels to your rolls and such, which is a lot easier than erasing your level and changing your experience point total and then recalculating everything based on your new level and whatnot.
Mechanically, that was I believe in 3, though, you did lose your highest spell you had memorized.
Something like that.
You had to roll a hit dice. You rolled a hit die worth of hit points of damage you would lose.
Right. On top of whatever damage.
Whatever they hit. So it'd be extra damage. So I think it was more of a less fiddly, but still a little bit. Little bit, but not as bad as the original. I really like the con drain, and I think it'll still be scary. When you're con trained, we're thinking of absconding with that rule in Mudsword and allowing them to recover 1 point per day by natural means, and then more if they get access to a
magic
lawgiver / cleric magic.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for those calls.
Yeah.
Not a lot this week in calls, but we have a lot to talk about in gaming news.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just go with that.
Yeah, it's a mixture of stuff. It's probably going to be a little on the ranty side more than normal, even, I think.
A little, because a lot of that crap out there sucks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sucky crap. Okay, so this first one you got here is Big Bad Toy Store. They've got WizKids, probably in conjunction with Wizards, because it's branded for D&D. Let's see, Jewy Blex.
Yep.
I always had a dyslexic moment with that word. I always transposed the B and the I and called it Jubilex.
We did that. We all did. And it was probably my fault because I was the first to use it. I mean, I remember that was one of the premier, when I say premier Demon Lords, what I mean was its name appeared in the modules.
Right.
Along with, after Orcus and then the Archdevil Asmodeus, probably Orcus more common. Then there was Demogorgon. And then after that, you got kind of Zugtamoy from Temple of Mental Evil. And then you get a comment about how I think Zugtamoy and Juiblex were kind of enemies back in the early days. And they're both Abyssal Demon Lords. You know what bugs me about this? I mean, it's a cool looking slime dude, and it's a huge figure. That doesn't bug me. It's the stupid price tag.
Yeah.
It's a piece of crap. Here's what I mean. For the price, it's garbage.
Right.
I don't even know. I guess I can because they're businesses, but how WizKids could put that out and put a $62 or $63.
It's $69.
It's $69, a $70 price tag.
Yeah.
I paid less than that. I got it used like $58 or $60. You've seen that undead Draco Lich I have that's huge.
Yes.
That is like that's almost automatically darn near the best figure I have. It is so incredible for a pre-painted mini. That's a $70 premium figure. That is one. I mean, it's still high, but I mean, like, you're like, okay, I get it. You're not getting that for $20.
Right.
But that stupid Jewelblex, I don't care. I mean, what kind of detail can you do with the slime? I'm sure they could say, well, look, there's some shading. It's a little lighter green on one side, dark green. They got little eyeballs. Come on. It's a slime, dude.
It has a mouth.
Oh, does it? How exciting.
That probably makes it worth it.
That's what it is. And I get it. It might take some time, but I'm just not impressed. Not impressed, and would not drop $70 for that.
Yeah, for those of you who are just listening, which is probably most of you, the figure, we're going to have a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
But the figure is a slime, essentially, with eyes and a couple of eye stalks.
Can you share can you share your screen for that?
Let's see. Yeah.
Folks might be able to see it and see just how not $70 worth it is. It might be price tag wise, time wise, but I mean, poor design, in my opinion, for a premium figure. Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah. Look at that. That's a piece of crap.
Does it show the bigger one now?
Yeah, it's showing their screen. That is like, come on. Hold on. I wish I could grab.
They have it in use.
What?
I'm scrolling through the pictures on the side.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And well, there's some dungeon dressing at its feet, some bricks or whatever.
Yeah, that might be part of the deal. I didn't notice that. Okay, so maybe you pay 30 for it. I mean,
it's a blob.
That's my point. I mean, I don't get that. I mean, and I understand it.
Because they can. That's because they can.
People will buy it.
It's Jewelblex. It's branded, and
right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Joe, when I heard it, I was like, I think Silent Josh told me about it. I was like, dude, I got to check this out. I'm kind of into the premium figures. I try to get them in the secondhand market. And I was like, yeah, I'm not paying for that. If I got that for 20, I would buy it, but I'll never get it for 20. So
let's see. Does it say its dimensions on here?
It might.
No.
I think does it say it's a huge figure? It's probably 8 inches tall. So, but no way. I get it. It's
supposed to be 20. Oh, no, 20-foot hill. Anyway.
Yeah, there's no way. I would rather them have made him smaller and maybe have some pseudopods shooting up to look a little taller than the average large figure, and charge $20 or put him in a box, a random box, so you could buy him individually. Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't. Why are you wasting a premium figure on that kind of crappy sculpt? And
because they can.
I know, and I guess this is one thing I do like. I love the painted minis, but I don't buy them too often. I always look for the premium ones. And I just find the concept horrible. I'm sorry. Probably just going on a little rant. I knew I was going to go on a rant. So for that price, I just can't do it. Even if you could show me the numbers that say, look, we put this much money into plastic, this much for the artist, this is standard rate. I'm like, okay, horrible concept. I just wouldn't pay for a blob. I could 3D print that. Well, I could 3D print that from my toilet. Sorry, that's gross. You get that? Yeah, baby.
Especially if you ate some, corn would work, but
that's not corn. Corn might get the eyeballs in there.
Might be.
We're going down a gross. Sorry, guys. I could personally 3D print that.
We're going to be talking about something some folks might say is gross next anyway.
Yep.
So the next one is apparently they want to make Superman gay.
Well, that was a little
side story.
No, that's when you say, oh, Superman's going to be gay. Yeah, sort of. It's the new Jonathan Kent, long story after Rebirth and New 52. The Superman that's on the current universe, main universe Earth, is that's Jonathan Kent. It's the son of Lois and Clark. Rumor has it, for some reason, obviously because they did Tim Drake, I guess they got to do him. He's going to be gay, has a boyfriend, but which, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, okay, that's a relatively new character. I knew nothing about Jonathan Kent when I read comics back in the day, when I read them more consistently. And I was like, okay, first, it's okay, but they're going to kill off Superman and he's going to become the Superman. and so essentially they're finding it really, because they couldn't. I mean, if they turned Clark Kent gay, I think even people that were pro all these crazy identity representative comic books would be like, that's literally the dumbest. I mean, anybody with any sense whatsoever would say that is the dumbest idea ever. No one would buy that. So they're going with the son, but they're going to get rid of the dad. So then Superman, you see, so then the Superman can be gay. That's what they're doing.
He's not Superman though.
No, but he's going to be, because I think they're going to kill off Superman.
Yeah, but then he's not really Superman.
He's the new Superman.
He's a replacement. He can call himself something else, but he's not.
They'll call him Superman, and he'll get his own title, and they'll call it that.
He's too skinny. Look at that guy.
Well, he's a
Not
boy.
Superman.
He's a high school boy.
I mean, he's just wuss altogether.
Well, the whole thing is ridiculous, but whatever. At least, and I'll give him this. I mean, I've complained about it before. At least it's a new character, relatively new. He's been around for a while. I mean, not that I've been reading it, but since like Rebirth and New 52. So whatever. But I mean, it's a I don't know.
I don't know. Is this little strip that I'm showing here? Is it just for this article, or
no? I believe it's actually it's an issue coming out October 2nd. I think that's a panel from it, I believe.
Because it looks really emo from the.
Well, yeah. I mean, you should. I told you my experience going to a comic store not too long ago. And I love my local comic store owner. He's a great dude. Even he doesn't read comics past the 80s.
Right. Because for a good reason.
Well, I don't think his is the same as mine, but the truth is, I mean, he's got a point. I think there's good comics in the 90s, but you get past 2000, maybe the 2010s, you're hunting. I went to a small convention a couple of weeks ago. Oh, and I bought some, on a side note, trying to support some independent artists. They were kind of crap. I read the books. They were not very good.
From where?
From some local guy. I don't want to name him. I don't want to blast him because they make valiant efforts, but I just didn't. One was a local Michigan guy. One was from, I think, New York, and I bought some of the stuff, and it was really cool to see all the independent artists there and a lot of local people. And I've made a commitment to try to support some of those. I'm reading stuff from archaven.com. That's where Chuck Dixon is at. I listened to his interview with Eric July, and
that was a good interview.
He's got some good stuff. Archaven, there's some weird titles, but when you start reading the free stuff that's online, it's pretty good. I'm probably going to buy some of the comics.
Have you looked at Comicsgate artists yet, or comics?
Yes, I have some on the Indiegogo. I need to make a decision on Graham Nolan's Alamo one. I kind of want. It's kind of a Cthulhu Western, and so I'm leaning towards that.
Frog.
Yeah, Cyber Frog by Eric Scrivener or something, I think.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I don't get it. The art's beautiful, but I think I heard Max Leow over at Legion of Myth. He said he's got them. It's beautiful art. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of 90s style image art, which I loved. And it was really, big dudes, pretty sexy women being super fighty superhero stuff. And I was like, it was really actiony. And I liked that style of art. I mean, I remember seeing Spawn #1 was the reason back in,
Spawn
graduate school is when I started reading comics again. I saw that on a rack at Kroger and said, I have to have that.
Right.
Just beautiful. So Todd McFarlane. But yeah, archaven.com, I would encourage you. You can read tons of free comics there.
Oh, cool.
They're there for you to read it. And then you can buy them after you've read, 6 issues. Some of them are like 6 panels, but like Chuck Dixon has like 30 or 40 mini issues on there. So they're telling. So I'm excited. I would definitely promote archaven.com.
I hadn't heard of that one yet. That's cool.
Yeah. Eric July had pointed that out. But back to this one. Okay, so I'm going to give him kudos. In the end, kudos. You picked a character that's relatively new. He could be gay if you want him to be. But you're essentially, if what I'm reading is true, if they kill Superman this year and then replace him with Jonathan Kent, that's a cheese move.
Yeah, it's just it's a way to make Superman gay without making Superman gay, because Jonathan Kent's not Superman. He can wear the suit all he wants, but he's not Superman.
Right, exactly.
Clark Kent's Superman.
It'll always be Clark. You got it.
I hate this mantle crap. It's a mantle. It's a mantle. It's just call him something else. It's not much different from just making Superman gay. It's just a roundabout way of doing it.
I mean, Dick Grayson They talked about that. He's made comments at one point in his young life as the original Robin. I think he envisioned himself as eventually becoming the Bat. And then when he broke away and became his own guy, someone had mentioned that to me. He's like, I'm Nightwing. I'm not Batman. And granted, he's a lot like Batman. He can't help it. He was trained since he was like 14. You know, so he fights like him. He knows a lot of the skills that he has. He's just Batman Jr., which he's a good character actually. But yeah, I don't mantle thing. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah,
the world needs a Batman.
Well,
maybe.
if you there might be some out there that maybe one or two that are a mantle, like with Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes,
mantle is a title, but Doctor Strange is not.
Spawn is a mantle. There's different spawns throughout the ages.
Correct, and they said that's part of
that's part of it. Yeah,
of the lore. But Superman's not that way. Batman's not that way.
Not really.
Most of them are not that way. Spider-Man's definitely not a mantle.
A Green Lantern might be. The Green Lantern,
right? Because you have to wear a ring.
And every sector of space, is granted a Green Lantern to protect it.
Right.
So
or some other color.
Right. Yeah. Well, they went crazy with that. Oh my god.
Yeah. Lots of colors.
And fire and black and white and yellow and purple and green.
Black.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were like the bad. No one knew about the Black Lanterns. They were trapped somewhere in some alternate dimension, and they got free, and they were super bad dudes.
Oh, that's like the.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I've not read Blackest Night yet. I've got a collection of it. That's supposed to be pretty good. There was some really good Green Lantern comics in the mid 90s.
Right. So I'm not down with the mantles. It's dumb.
Generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of it. Yeah.
All right. So moving on to some more potentially, is this going to be positive? To
me, it's a have to, it's not, I don't think it's bad. I think you're what's the word when you, is it called barking? Not barking at the moon, but screaming. It's whenever you're like, it's a futile attempt, but maybe not. On this article at comicbook.com, there's a petition someone started for them to go full metric or have conversion on the next edition in 2024. Conversion, because they've had conversion in some books from the imperial system, feet, inches and stuff, to the metric system. Mathematically, I get it. But dude, since I was young, they were saying we're going metric. Look, the US has liters for their soda. Congratulations. That's all you get. I mean, we have a little more than that, but when I was young, they were warning, we're going to go metric. And you know what? Mathematically, you can make a strong argument. We should be metric. It's a very nice, elegant system. You can make it's kind of and when I teach the metric system in some of my classes, there's a book that describes it as an ideal measuring system. An ideal is given these different conditions, like 6 different qualities a measuring system has to be considered ideal. So it's a precise definition of ideal. It's not some abstract idea. And the metric system fits it all. But you could argue, well, maybe they made that word that definition because they love the metric system. But the metric system is nice, multiples of 10. I mean, it really is, and people can say that all day long. But at least the U.S., some places in Scotland, I think it was Scotland because I was there, they use miles, or they did back in the day. Back in the day, I mean 2015, 16.
It's perfectly. I mean, we still. Here in the U.S., still using miles does not prevent us from getting from place to place. So there's nothing broken to fix on a macro level. We still use metrics in a lot of in science, in medicine, and in measurements for food in the food industry.
Yep,
a lot of weights and measures there. But for common use out on the street, out in them streets. Yeah, talking miles and feet and inches, and it doesn't hurt anything. So
no, it doesn't. And people talk about gallons, and they talk about acres and stuff like that, which is a weird conversion. He talks about, I don't know. I thought the article was kind of weird, but I mean, I get it. I get their desire, especially from another country that uses metric. And you're playing D&D. It'd be nice if the books were in the units you're comfortable with. And it's a pretty. And if WotC's probably big enough to do If I print German D&D books, I'll do metric. If I print French D&D books, I'll do metric. I mean, why not? And they're saying, well, the conversions are clunky. Well, yes, going from centimeters to inches is not clunky. They're just weird. They're not like 1 to 2 or 1 to 4. It's 1 to 2.36 or something.
Well, people don't like decimals.
Right. Well, I mean, sorry about your luck. If you want to do the conversion, that's fine. And all they got to do is just say, yeah, don't do a straightforward conversion. Just go do a rough equivalent.
Right.
And who cares, man? Am I going to be mad because a 5-foot step in my 3rd edition book is really 1.2 meters, not 2 meter step? I'm not going to. Who cares? In French, I mean, are we gonna quibble? You see the little square on this piece of paper? Monsieur. That's how far you get. So far you can move before you can, want to provoke an attack of opportunity. And he's not going to need me to explain that to him. He's going to get it. I mean, he's a person. He's a people. He speaks, words that make sense.
It doesn't matter what the squares on, if you're moving squares on a piece of paper, it doesn't matter what the squares represent, really.
Which, I'd say
precisely
to start a little fire. The 4th edition did that. People got mad.
They did what? Oh yeah, they said
squares.
Everything's squares. Yeah.
There's something. I mean, but I get it. I mean,
it could be 5-foot square. It could be a.
But if you're
less than a meter square.
We have a friend that likes rulers. He thinks we should use rulers at the table and not. Well, and there's advantage to using rulers instead of squares and hexes because you can have a blank sheet of paper. Right. And I can draw something and you go, oh, can you make it? You can go 6 inches on your ruler. Plap. No, you can't. I mean, that's kind of old war gamey, but I mean, that's okay. And then who cares if you're using meters? You can go 6 inches or you can go 14 meters. I don't know. I mean, 14 centimeters. I mean, so.
Then there comes the question of, can you really?
What do you mean? Can
you really, as a caster, are your eyes calibrated so that you can tell I mean, if it's a rough thing, like feet away and my range is at least 10 feet, I should be able to get that.
Right.
But if it's close, like 2 people standing next to each other, can you really do that?
You know how in 3rd edition we use those templates and we'd be like, I place my fireball kind of like this. And it's like, I don't know if you remember this. You guys used to try that bull crap back in original D&D.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that doesn't make sense. Oh, I could do it. I'm like, no, you really couldn't. I mean, there's a chance you will burn your friends. Right. There's a good point. Should we throw that into Mudsword?
Probably.
I mean, maybe we need to go like get hardcore. And
the better way to do it is the player saying, can I do this? And the DM making the call, not the argument back and forth. I should be able to do this. It's I can, or can I?
Right.
Because something like that, I mean, what happens when you start casting a spell? Does a heads-up display appear in your eyeballs, and then you're like,
yeah,
it's right there? I don't think so.
We all have cybernetic enhancements. All wizards get cybernetic enhancements to help them to measure distances. I think it would be okay in my mind to say if a creature's in melee, if you do an AOE, you're getting your ally.
Yeah,
you just are.
Right.
You can't. Your magic is not that precise. So basically, if your fighter's up there fighting the ogre, you can't fireball him. Well, you can, but you're gonna get them both because you just can't control it. Not that much. Now maybe we could graduate and give little talents and boost to wizards where like you grant your ally +2 to a save because you're really good at this. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that.
Yeah, I kind of like 3rd edition also kind of screwed the pooch on that because it made you, with the language it used for spell casting, you could target a square or target a point.
Yep.
Like an intersection of lines on a map, and that's very precise.
And honestly, and I know you and I differ a little. I'm less gamey than you are. You're more gamist than I am. I'm like, I want the game rules most of the time to fade in the background. Not that you don't ever use them. I just don't want them to have to be like in 3, they were front and center. It's like movement, 5-foot step. We had to look precision on the map. And that was fun times. I'm not knocking it. But right now, I don't care what the rules are. I want the story to be kind of cool. I want you to get to roll your dice. I want you to get to do your sweet 10d6 fireball, but I don't want it to be, I place it so that, I get the lich on the ground who the cleric is fighting with his mace of disruption. But on top of the stage in this old theater, I also want to burn those 2 ghouls that are trying to eat Joe's wizard's face. Right. And it's like, I don't want to place that fireball. Look, I got just enough room. I'm like, no, you don't. I mean, you can do that, but you're burning the cleric and the wizard. They're going to have to make a save,
Yeah.
At higher levels, we can mitigate things. Let them make a save and get quarter damage.
Right. And the other thing about this article, getting back to the article.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's a weird article because one dude or whatever said, I don't like it, started a petition, and somehow it's worth 3.5 paragraphs on comicbook.com. It's kind of weird.
Some people, it's a thing. I mean, honestly, I could see this article being more significant back in the 3rd edition era. Because the game, our 4th edition, where like movement and stuff and the chessboard was important. But you're right. I mean, it's kind of weird. Some dude's like, I want metric. Okay. I mean, like I said, when we were young, Joe, that was the thing. I remember our teachers telling us, when you're older, there will be no imperial system.
Yeah, well, they were wrong.
And I'm like, the U.S. is like, we're not changing. Scotland's like, no, we like Miles. All right.
Well, I guess the petition has 1,250 signatures, so
that's not that many.
Not really.
I mean, it's cool. I'm impressed the guy got it, and I'm not shocked. I'm sure there's plenty of, people from other countries that cared. I'd be very interested to know. I'd really like to know how many U.S. citizens, even the ones that maybe signed it, how passionate are you about the metric system? Really? I teach young people. They're not terribly passionate about the metric system.
Well, I wonder.
They don't hate it. They're like, half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. I know Imperial, leave me alone.
I wonder how many of that 1,250 are U.S.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's probably not as many. That's what I'm really in. I mean, I'm fine with, if you're from Spain, I get it.
Sure.
But if you're not, I'm like, why do you care, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, really? I mean, I want the Spaniards to play D&D too. I mean, I was watching. I'd want them all to play. Everybody in Barcelona, play D&D, baby.
So weird.
All
right. So
fun.
Oh yeah. Haha. You are going to be surprised at my response, I think, to this.
Oh, because I know you know mine.
So yes, apparently there's going to be some stat block changes. Well, the way I was first presented with this, someone said that Counterspell was nerfed.
Right.
But that's not really true.
Okay.
The Counterspell change, the spell Counterspell is not being changed in 5th edition. Not that I really care all that much, because I don't play 5th edition very much. But I know, as far as you and I are concerned, we've had some discussions about Counterspell because you've had some issues with it as a DM, and some of the players in the wider group have taken great advantage of the spell Counterspell.
Well, here's the thing. So when the new rules come out in 2024, the updates, or I'm going to call it 6th edition because I think it's going to be a new edition. They can say what they want, but it'll be at least 5.5, which was a new edition. They're changing how there's things, monsters are going to have like spell actions or actions that do spell like effects. Instead of fireball, they'll have fire explosion. Instead of lightning bolt, they might have arcing electrical blast or something. The point is, so when that happens, now here's the thing that I think no one's covered. What if Counterspell changes too?
Right. So if they change the description of Counterspell, then this will be moot. However, it's actually not waiting until 6th edition or whatever they're going to call it. It's actually coming out in Beyond the Witchlight has already changed stat blocks in.
Right now, it's actually an issue because those creatures have those powers. That crazy sneezer is my dog. He's a big horse. But anyway, so you cannot do the counter as a ready to action. Not this article. I wish I could find it again. There's another one where a guy goes down an interesting rabbit hole and he talks about several other spells that are really boss in 5e, low level too, like Hypnotic Pattern is apparently pretty awesome in 5e. But the point is, if it gets nerfed, and this is where I stand, or at least I'm leaning toward this, I think Counterspell as a spell is poop. I am not terribly against the idea of counterspelling being thrown out of the game. Period. Not being an option. And here's why. It's not just, oh, I want my monsters to be able to do their cool spells, but it is kind of, I want my monsters to be their cool spells. If you're fighting the awesome Lich of Coolness, and you happen to have a wizard and a warlock and a bard who all have counterspell, and so the bard counterspell this dude, and we're going to beat him up. Okay, you win, but wow, what a cool way to make a Lich not interesting. He needs to get his spells off. I think even for the party to be like, whoa, we built that dude after he used Horde Wilting on Joe's fighter and knocked him to 2 hit points the first round. That was awesome. That Lich was unbelievable. You take away the awesome with a dumb counterspells, kind of take away the fun thing, at least the way 5e does it.
Right.
And the way 30 did it, where you hold your action. If no one casts a spell when you're counterspelling, and a DM who metagames may not cast a spell because you go, I hold my spell to counter anything that wizard cast. A DM could even subconsciously go, I'm going to have the wizard move to a better advantage point and not cast a spell. Guess what? You just lost your turn.
Right.
You wasted your turn. And so it became, how many people counterspelled in 3rd edition? I'll answer that. Almost none.
Right.
Because it wasn't worth it.
No, because you could lose your action. So counterspelling is iconic
in some sense.
That being said, I don't think we played counterspelling. I mean, it's not part of the game until 3rd edition.
Correct.
So,
I think you could do it in 2nd. I don't know if anybody out there could call in and tell us. I seem to recall it was something like, to counter Fireball, you had to have Fireball memorized. And somehow, I don't know how the initiative worked, you had to, I'm sure Gygax kludged something together, that you could cast Fireball when they cast Fireball and do the counter words, and you both lose it.
Right.
That's kind of how it works. And it's like, and you're like, I ain't losing my Fireball.
Right.
You guys better make your saves.
Right. I mean, if they had that, I don't remember, because I don't remember everything.
Yeah, I feel like it was there, but yeah, we're like, I remember it was like, that's not worth it. No one's ever going to do it.
Or you had to use Dispel Magic.
Yes, that was it. Dispel Magic. That's it. And it was like, okay. And it seemed kind of weird. I get when you're saying it's kind of iconic. It's a cool thing you could see in a book or story or movie.
Right.
Kind of, I mean, Big Trouble in Little China, when they're doing the up and they're playing like a video game. The 2 wizards are fighting. That's kind of like constant counter spells. But I think D&D's Magic doesn't need counterspell. I think it could be an event. I think anti-magic is good enough in terms of, like, if you had an area of anti-magic, that would be the cool factor. I don't think if we toss counterspell at all, the option, we'd be missing anything. I think we'd gain. I think it's a net gain if you tossed it.
It depends on what perspective you're talking. From the DM's perspective, yes. From the player's perspective, not necessarily. Most players aren't going to care that the Lich didn't get their spells off. They're going to say, good, we killed the Lich, he didn't get his spell off, we won.
Okay. Recompose the party. You got a magic user, you got a cleric, you got a fighter and rogue, ranger, and a druid. What the hell? Okay. Only one of those dudes have counterspell.
Yes.
Okay. You come fight the cult of the super bad wizard dudes.
Right.
2 invisible wizards hide in the corner and counter everything you guys cast.
Yes.
That won't be fun. That'll be I'm not having fun time. Yeah. And the players will be like, oh, that was dumb. I didn't like that. I couldn't do anything.
How counterspell is a spell you have to cast, right?
Yes.
It's not an ability you can keep doing. So you run out of it eventually.
Sure.
So
I agree. But here's the thing. I agree with that, Joe. But
no, you can't even do that in 5th edition, I don't think.
What?
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Does invisibility work the same way in 5th edition?
I think pretty much. I don't know if counterspell is actually an attack though.
No, but I may be getting things confused, but it might be that in fifth edition,
Concentration.
that invisibility,
Mm-hmm.
any spell cast drops it. It might be. I might be thinking.
Forget it. They're not hidden.
Yeah.
That's just their job.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to take them out. Yeah, but guess what? The spell. Now you can get meta and do dumb things. And like, one of our buddies, I'm going to cast a spell. Okay. And then when it gets countered, I was casting Charm Person. I wasn't casting Lightning Bolt. It was like, okay, how about this? What spell are you casting?
Yeah.
But then he tells me, and I got to look him up. I think it's kind of dumb. And I just don't.
There's probably a way to do it that's different than fifth edition does it.
There might be. And that could be, again, we'll put it on. I'm willing to consider it for Mud Sword, but right now I lean like 80% Counterspell is like a waste of Colossal. Idea good, in the game bad.
Execution bad. Yes. Yeah. And as a thematic kind of idea, it'd be nice to have some way of doing that, but the way it's implemented is kind of not great.
Yeah, and we didn't mention the whole counterspelling the counterspell.
Yeah.
Which Jeremy Crawford said is a thing.
Right.
And that works, but that's stupid. But whatever. I mean, it's not stupid. It just seems super weird because it sounds weird, but it could make sense. It's a spell.
It's a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but what I was going to say, I think that the monster change is interesting. However, if it's a monstery monster,
mm-hmm.
Let's say an ooze or something that can cast spells,
mm-hmm.
change those to magical abilities that aren't spells. That makes sense. Yeah. And then you the wizards or whatever can't counterspell that stuff.
Right.
That makes sense to do that. I don't think it makes sense for every adversary's abilities to be switched over, especially if they are casters.
Yeah, if your foe's an evil cleric, he casts cleric spells. And if you want to call it something cool and easy to manage in the game, fine. But it's real. It should say acts as a spell versus counterspell.
Right.
Or it should just be, I don't know. I don't get what the problem is. Your casters have this list of spells like the other ones do. I mean, some of the people are like, yeah, yay, because I ain't got to keep track of their spells. I'm like, is it really that hard? Is it that tough for you? I guess if you're 20th level, but even then, it's not. You don't get that many spells in 5e. What are you crying about?
Right.
So yeah. Anyway,
people complain about weird things.
Yeah, it's interesting. So.
All right. So next up is
you love this one, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it's so stupid. So apparently, over on Screen Rant, which is just a lovely site with wonderful articles written by folks who have great command over the English language and the way of crafting it into words and paragraphs and things.
Yeah.
But the title is How to Play Non-Violent Tabletop RPG Campaigns.
I know. Don't play them.
Right. I've said stuff like that. That got me in trouble somewhere. Don't do that.
Dude, if you want to, I don't care.
Sure.
You can go to the prom. You can role play going to the prom if that's your thing. I'm not interested. But
you don't need another rule set, which this suggests that you do.
Oh,
what they're saying. Okay, where is it at?
Monster.
Okay. Ursula K. Le Guin said conflict is one kind of behavior. There are others equally important in any human life, such as relating, finding, losing, bearing, discovering, parting, and changing. Which is fine. It's all cool, and you can write that stuff into novels and whatnot, and it's interesting reading.
Yep.
So too, now this isn't her, this is the author. So too can tabletop RPGs have storylines and gameplay capable of being exciting and thrilling, yet not necessarily violent. Sure, but that's all role playing. You don't need rules for that.
Yeah.
So, but when we already do all this stuff, when you go to town and you talk to the bartender or the trader or whoever, you're doing non-violent things. It's not a constant fight from the time you sit down at the table to the time you get up. Well, sometimes it is.
It was back in the day. Well,
but town stuff is non-violent.
Yeah, we called it town stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you 95%. I think what they're saying and what some games try to do, they add mechanics to that, I think, to feel like they're playing a game.
Sure.
Otherwise, they're playing pretend. Let's pretend, which I agree. That's kind of what you're doing when there's no rules. But it's kind of part of the role-playing game part that you just do, that we do. If someone wants rules for that, okay. But it seems to me that will stifle the interaction. I mean, do they want rules where, like, okay, I'm playing the crafty Lady Marion, who is a diplomat that's come to Joe's Keep to try to persuade Duke Butch to let her use some of his men on this western side of the land for something she needs to get done. And I got to persuade him. And so we go and we start talking. I would just play her and try to like convince Joe and his character to do that in our game. Or I can use a mechanic. Well, I have cool smooth move. So I'll roll my cool or compare my cool smooth score to Joe's resist cool smooth move. And if I do it, then I convince him. But then a player would hate that. And then they would say, agency. And I'd be like, okay, do you want mechanics? Do you want to be rolling dice? Now, someone's going to say, you don't always have to roll dice, Randy, to have mechanics. Okay, you can draw a card, see what happens. I don't know. I mean, is that what, do you want there to be a random element for your character to have no? It seems to me you're going to take away the player agency when you add mechanics to role playing.
I say just role play and let the players. Sometimes the players will not act according to what they should.
Right.
Depending on how they've talked about their character and said what their personality and whatnot are like. But most of us will just go roll with it.
And it's like you say, well, and it's like, and Joe be like, I don't trust Randy no matter what he's doing. So I ain't letting this Lady Marion get away with nothing. And I'd be like, Truthfully, I would go in expecting Joe to reply like that. It would shock me if he let her get away, because especially if she came off like super hot looking babe and he's not married and she's using her sexuality to try to convince him. Joe was like, oh, she's a succubus. I mean, because he knows me, because she probably is. But I mean, even if she's not, I'd be like, let Joe do what he wants. Honestly, I'd probably have a second plan. She might have spies.
She just might be the distraction.
That's right. It might be that she's doing it already. Maybe she's already, what's the word when you force people into your military? There's a title where you get
conscript.
Yeah, she might be conscripting some of your peasants on the west side already as she talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't I guess, I don't know. But whatever. But the big question is, I don't want to play games that aren't violent.
They need to have some kind of conflict. And the person who wrote this has a problem with competition, because
I saw that too.
Yeah.
That's normal. I hate the competing element. Well, even when you're role playing, there's a competition there. Sure you are. Even if you're trying to bear this guy's burden, he won't let me bear his burden. Let's roll. We're competing with the mechanics to see if my dude is cooler than yours and I can extra bear your burdens. I don't know. That just seems weird to bring that to the table.
Yeah, he or she, whoever wrote this, puts up some kind of weird dichotomy between, and we sometimes do too, where we say it's a story game.
Yeah,
but he's making it mutually exclusive to have peaceful. He's talking about having an entire campaign of peaceful talk, mm-hmm. And where is they? Focuses on telling profound. You're sitting at a table. I don't think you're doing anything profound. Profound stories of reconciliation, self-discovery. It's not self-discovery. It's an imaginary character. You can't do self-discovery with an imaginary character. You can pretend to.
Yeah. Which is what
I just discovered something about my character that I just imagined up out of the ether just now.
Yeah. All right.
And the building of better lives. Oh, that's the whole thing.
That's beautiful.
Because I guess because it's a fantasy world, they want to get away from the real world existence of conflict, because life is conflict.
It's conflict. Yeah.
Getting out of bed can be a conflict. I don't want to You have a conflict with yourself.
Yeah, and your paychecks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
look,
weak
man,
sauce. This is
I don't get it.
low
It's
T.
clearly those
Low
are
T.
what? Oh, low
Low
T.
T.
Look, dude. Clearly, those games are not for us.
No.
I mean, the closest I can come to, I mean, in D&D games, dude, I would say you love it. I've seen it on your face. And Joel even asked me afterwards. I have some, it's like it appears, man, if we go in there, we got to fight this big thing. And Joel's like, instead of fighting the ogre, look, the dude looks like he's starving. Let's bring him some food and see if we can't coexist. And then you make friends with him. And afterwards, and Joe will be like, you thought we were going to fight him, didn't you? I mean, that's a win for you. And usually I figured you were like, we didn't even draw a sword. That was cool. We made friends with the ogre. And it's like in the old day, I remember JD and Ryan used to always say, I'm going to make friends with all the guys that are going to make you like us. That was funny, So that was still kind of a battle, right? A battle of wits.
Right. And, if the monster doesn't attack you outright, if it's like it's defending territory or whatever, if you're playing heroic characters,
right,
good guys, you're not just going to slaughter everything you walk up to.
No,
because in that case, when you go to town, you do town stuff. You go to town and you say you go to the bar, and if anybody even looks at you cross-eyed, you stab them in the gut. That's what we did back in the day anyway.
Kill that apple vendor. He looked at me sideways when I didn't buy his crappy apples.
Right. If you're playing good guys, you're not just going to slaughter everything, but if you get attacked, you're going to defend yourself. And depending on the situation, we all know the situations where you don't ask questions, you just draw swords and you throw down. There's a lot of those, but there are a lot of opportunities to skirt direct conflict. And it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah.
Do that in regular life too.
Yeah.
Don't just punch people in the nose for looking at us cross-eyed. So
even when you want to.
Yeah, even when you want to. So it's natural for you to bring that across at the table too. And sometimes maybe not. Maybe you're going to play some over-the-top, ridiculous character that punches everybody in the nose.
Right. All I know is
have some fun doing that for a little while. But if you're going to play somewhat seriously, you're going to bring across a more realistic portrayal of a character where they're not going to just stab everything.
Yeah, you're going to think deeply about your motivations and discover that you have a hero inside.
Yeah. So not pacifist, but not, killing everything. And the article kind of makes it out to be a false dichotomy, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you can't have some of that in D&D. Okay, well, you need special rules, but maybe some folks do, and they want a different experience at the table. Okay, not
Go for it. Go for it. All right. Oh yeah, I think this was one that I
you loved.
I talked about in another venue. People didn't like my position.
Dude, I'm gonna have to. Oh, this is an article at wargamer.com where Jeremy Crawford talks about alignment rules changes. The idea devils and angels aren't, they're typically this alignment. Not all devils are evil, not all demons are evil, not all angels are good. And I'm like, okay, in a postmodern view, I could see in a situation where a one-off could be fun, but generally speaking, 99.9% of the time, angels are good, devils are evil. They may be lawful. You might be able to talk to a devil in D&D, because I always thought devils were like talk first, fight later.
Yeah,
they weren't looking to fight. Most were not looking to fight.
They're looking to make a deal.
They're looking to make a deal, screw you in the long run, get your soul, take it to hell. Demons kind of like, I'm not interested in talkie. I want to eat your heart out through the top of your head. So, gross, horrible, murdering stuff. But yeah, they're talking. We know they're shifting away from alignment anyway, and now they're kind of bringing it back in an namby-pamby way. I have to be honest, though, Planescape did a little bit of that. My favorite setting.
Sure did.
Oh, Max may not like that. I don't think Max Leal likes Planescape, does he?
No, he hates Planescape. Really,
and probably for this reason, because you get a lot of
Dark Sun as well.
Oh, he hates Dark Sun.
Well, I think if you couch it correctly, he would say, okay, it's fine as a thing that isn't D&D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's got a point, because
He
the
does.
alignment
He
system
does.
takes back seat in Planescape, and it's more about your approach to life. They really probably, Planescape, you could say, would probably run really well without alignments altogether. But Planescape does do that. There's a I'll tell something, probably will tweak people's nads. In Planescape, I want to say near the end of the run in second edition, when we have Sigil, the city between all in the multiverse, in the center of the multiverse, where everything shows up, and there was a pair, there was a Batman and Robin duo. They weren't Batman and Robin, but they were like fighting crimes in Sigil. These pair, they were a demon and a devil working together. Which, if you know Planescape lore, there's something called the Blood War, where demons and devils are constantly and for eternal time have been at war. So you got a lawful evil and a chaotic evil doing good stuff, and people were making comments like, "Ooh, maybe they've been redeemed." And there was the concept of a redeemed devil or redeemed demon. And I thought, as a one-off, but what Sigil did, which they're really good at, they didn't come out and say that they were. They said people are wondering if maybe these creatures, because they're not hurting people, they're helping people. And they're like, but maybe they're playing a longer game. And maybe it's a really smart demon who's willing to control his rage. And the devil's like, look, we got he's convinced him of a long payoff. Or maybe they really are. Maybe they've been turned. Maybe they're living in Sigil because they can't go back to the abyss and hell because they'll be killed.
Yeah, I like the idea of redemption, because that speaks to there being some hard delineations with these creatures.
Yes.
Because they're not okay. So there's a lot of things at work here.
Yep.
One, a particular kind of phrase has been thrown around here recently, as in, why can't everything have diversity? So that stupid word being used inappropriately comes up again. So all creatures, okay. So one, or as diverse as humans, right? So why can't they be all as diverse as humans? Well, they're not humans. So there you go. Demons and infernal creatures and celestial creatures are embodiments of their environment, and the alignment, the good in the celestial and the bad in the infernal, they embody that. Humans don't embody that kind of thing. Humans, if you want to really get to what I think, and a lot of other people think, humans embody a duality of evil and good.
Yes.
You know, humans are capable of great good and great evil.
Absolutely.
And sometimes in the same person.
Yes. I think by our nature, this is getting down philosophy, I think we're hypocrites. We are easily in our life, if we listed all of our beliefs, some don't jive. Some usually don't jive. There's some part of what we do or what we allow or what we put up with that doesn't really jive with what we truly believe. And so, and please take that as I mean it. People are listening. I'm not saying, oh, you're hypocritical SOBs. I'm including Randy in this. I'm not consistent in all my beliefs.
Yeah, it's hard to be 100%.
It's hard to be, because I have certain beliefs. I think Joe shares it, why we don't have that consistency. But the point is, yeah, you're right. And I think even in D&D lore, originally, demons and devils were souls. Demons were souls of chaotic evil folks who passed, and devils were souls of lawful evil folks who passed, who got quote unquote reborn in the hellish nightmare plane their souls went to. And if you look at the lore in Planescape and Hellbound box set and even other D&D, Dragon Magazine with Gygax, they are tortured and treated horribly by the more powerful demons, the demon lords, and then they graduate to a dredge, okay, which is like the lowest of the lows of the demons, and then they
work their way up.
A toughest dredge might morph into some Barl Gura, which is like a ape demon, and so on and so forth, and they make their way up the chain. Now it's more orderly with devils. With a devil, Lemure, you do this thing, you follow orders for so long and you don't die, so many hundreds of thousands of years, whatever it is, you get next rank, you're a Spinagon. then next rank you're this, next rank you're that. So it's orderly, but it's the same idea. So it's hard to imagine someone mistreated for ages, all of a sudden, I don't think I'll be not evil anymore.
Well, in order to get ahead there, or to survive, you have to embody the nature of the beast there. More cunning and evil than the folks that are above you, or at least peers or below, so you can stay on top.
Yeah.
And at some point be. But in any case, though, it says here that, and it's weird. Let's see. Creatures with a strong moral inclination will be merely listed as typically, and then only very certain creatures will have a definite alignment, like named creatures and whatnot.
Yes.
So considering that, every named NPC in a module, they're named, and then your PCs all have a name, so you can leave name off your PC, and then you don't have to have an alignment. But but all the named any individual named thing will have an alignment next to it, but they want the alignments to be a narrative suggestion or a role-playing aid rather than a fundamental cast iron rule, because they don't want anything to have a fundamental nature.
I was going to say, I've said something like that before. I'm not the most huge fan of alignments, though I find myself being drawn back toward it. And I always consider it as one aspect of your being, right. It's not your be all end all of everything. But you're right. I was going to say that whole thing of, you get your 1+2. That's where things are going since Tasha's or whatever book it was for 5e. And you get a +2, put it where you want. Now they're talking about body types. I mean, they have a bullywug knight somewhere you can show that you could play. I mean, someone's got a bully. I forgot what article I should have put it, but like, you get a place that you're not normal, and you can even change, like, within your species, not all dwarves are short. That's basically what they're implying. Not all halflings are under 4 feet.
I saw a meme on the internet where it said used to be, and it showed the various races, kind of cartoony, but different. They're all different. Elves typical to elf, and halfling and dwarf and all that. Sure. And then in the next one, it showed now. Now they all are almost identical except for the color of their skin and their hair. And they're all exactly the same height.
Yeah, I guess that's what's going to happen. So we can all be, homogeneous and the same thing, which sounds like a pretty leftist approach. They're shooting for that. We're all same.
I don't know what the problem is with having things being distinct.
Me neither. No clue.
Why does everything have to have exactly the same amount? If everything has to be as diverse as humanity, then on some level, everything will become humanity, right?
Joe, here's the truth. And gosh, you and I aren't equal.
No. You can't exchange us and say we're good.
No, Joe is in every way inferior to me. So, I mean, I don't know how we could say that. No, I'm just kidding. My point is, there's things Joe's great at that I can't even do, right? And there's like one thing I can do that Joe can't do. But the point is, we're not the same. We have some value, as an adventuring party, an elf is a valuable asset. Not because he's just like the dwarf. I'm just as strong as a dwarf, and my con's just as good as a dwarf. Then why aren't you playing a stupid dwarf? And so, but yeah, I don't know. But I don't know.
So the idea in real life, the idea of diversity is that you and I, being two white dudes of equivalent age, and somewhat capabilities.
Yeah, we have some similars.
We are. There's no diversity if we're in the same room. No diversity. Two white guys.
Not at all. We're clones.
All you have to do to make it diverse in that room is switch one of us out for a woman
or a POC.
Oh yeah, or a POC. Then it's diverse
automatically.
As if a room full of white people can't have some sort of diversity of viewpoint or experience or anything like that.
or capabilities or intelligence or physical deafness or natural intuition. Get out of here.
Right.
It's crazy.
So that sort of thought process is kind of dripping into the game. And now humanity is diverse. So why not make dwarves diverse as humans? I'm saying, why not let the diversity that's always been D&D remain?
Right.
So humanity having its thing, which is being all things, and then dwarves being the way the dwarves are, elves and halflings and dragons and demons and all that stuff. They all, that's the diversity.
Yeah. I mean, and like
we need to make dwarves more diverse and be able to be tall dwarves. I mean, that's stupid.
They're not dwarves anymore. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's just a word.
Just a word.
Yeah. We're cosplaying furries and stuff. That's dumb.
I describe myself as dwarf dude. Why? Because I'm basically a human, but I like being called a dwarf.
It's a label.
6'4", 210, white skin, male, dwarf. No beard, smooth shaven.
Because later on in this article, they talk about that stuff because the wild beyond the witchlight is the new hotness. New changes are characters are no longer assumed to have the humanoid creature type.
What?
Characters are no longer assumed to have the humanoid creature type because characters can be so diverse, they're not necessarily all humanoid.
So you could be a plant dude,
I guess.
So it's gamma.
Knight is in this article.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I'd heard from somewhere. I saw a post, and this is rumor, but I did see some pictures, and I think it looked like the art. There's apparently a clown in something to the Witchlight whose name is Thaco.
Yeah.
And he hates children. He's an old clown.
Yeah.
That's not saying nothing at all.
No, nothing at all.
Just poking a little fun. But hey, they really want to hear our voice, Joe.
Yes.
They want to hear the voice of the old people.
Yes.
So we need to stay in the 5e community so they can poke fun at us. Not that I'm a Thaco guy, but I identify as one. Oh, that's awesome. Pure stupid. All right, sweet. If that's true, which I think it is. So I would bet $10 it is.
Right. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Onward.
Moving along.
Yeah.
The Legion of Myth.
Yes.
That I was in last week. Also had, one of them. There's this new group that we've gotten together.
A subgroup of the Legion of Myth.
Well, no, it's more just an amalgam of different folks.
Oh, okay. The Legion of Myth guys just organized
a diverse assortment of people.
Diverse. Ooh, nice.
Pale, but diverse.
And male.
Pale and male, but diverse. Called the Gatekeepers.
Yes.
And my idea.
Love it.
They liked it, so they adopted it. Essentially, it's just a group of YouTubers, mostly DMs. I'm the lone holdout on that. I mean, I sometimes DM, but I'm mostly play. And
I want to be in that. Well, I'm technically in it. I need to be one of those because. Last time I got a comment about your video too. I want to tell everybody that if the Gatekeepers listen to this, I got a comment on sessions.
So the Gatekeepers had their first video released on Wednesday, and it was, I guess, short-ish. It was only 2 hours long.
Yeah, they can't roll like us.
Right. 2+, 3+.
Right, baby.
It was a weeknight. He said it's a weeknight, so we got to keep it short. And it was 2 hours.
Oh, wow. What you talking about?
Yeah.
We had 3-hour Wednesday nights. Ask Taylor. Taylor, Clearsville Ringmill, baby.
Yeah.
3+ hours. We broke 4, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Shoot.
Something like that.
Dang.
So it was fun.
Wednesday night. Yeah, it was really good. And they were talking about session 0, and I really wanted to be there. I had a buddy over, and I didn't get to make it. I was planning on it, and I was jealously watching them discuss it. Yesterday in my break at work, and I thought, comment on session 0. I think it was it Max asked, "Did you ever have a bad experience at session 0?" Well, here's what I would have told him about. Joe was not a part of this. When I ran I've talked about this little Greyhawk 5e game that I ran about a year ago. It lasted a full year. We went level 1 to 10. But the first session I was kind of enamored of session 0. I'm a little, I still like the idea of it a little bit, even though generally speaking, I'm with Joe. We don't need it. But I was kind of charmed by the idea. And so I had written out all these questions and I wanted to have a discussion. My wife, Philip, and the Sanborns were there. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That's all right. You've been outed. Our buddies. Anyway, we're going to play. And I start reading these questions off. We want to do that. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And my sweet wife's like, why are you asking this dumb crap for? Can't we just play? I was like, part of me was like, butt hurt. Then I was like, oh, I think I love you. I mean, it's kind of cool because it was just like, she's like, let's just play. We know how to do this. And I was like, man, she's channeling Joe. And so I kind of got put in my place that night when I tried to bring the session 0 talk. Me and another guy who shall remain nameless, Patrick, have talked about how I think he and I are the only one that likes a little bit. We're here in this corner. I'm trying to scooch down on the video monitor of our massive fan group and think, I think we should do session 0. And everybody's like, shut up. I got a character. Let's go. You said it's D&D. You said it's aliens. We're good. I'm Hicks. Let's go. He's Hudson. So it's like, but yeah, I think I would be willing to entertain.
Offensive, speak up. Otherwise, let's go.
Yeah. Should we have a whole 3 hours to discuss how the campaign's going to go?
No. If you want your nuts punched.
We said we were playing D&D, didn't we? What do you need to know? And now the beauty of this is, and just to the reason I really kind of go with it, because basically what that does when the players say that means they're willing to get on my train and my rails I'm about to lay down, because they're telling Randy, do what you want. We're here to play. And I'm like,
right.
Shut up.
Granted, your rails are broad.
They are.
They have girth.
They do. Not unlike me. I have girth. So my rails have girth, and absolutely. Yeah. So there is something sweet about us not being session 0. I would love to have been there for that. But listen to the gatekeeper stuff, not just because one day I'm going to be on there, but Joe's often on there. Those guys on there. I thought you guys had a good discussion. I enjoyed
the link is in the show notes.
Yeah, check it out.
And on that, I have coordinated some things, and we will be able to host.
Yes, we're going to be a host. I guess I got to be at that one.
Gatekeeper host.
Nice.
At least one of. Well, I can.
Oh, I can't be a part of it.
I mean, I can invite you and kind of call you host.
Yeah. Notice how Joe last week was like, you try to control things, Randy. Look who's controlling.
Yeah. Well, you have the StreamYard account and a hook.
I know. That's all right. You're the tech guy.
Live stream now.
I'm just the pretty one, so it's okay.
We don't even have to have it be a gatekeeper's thing.
Oh yeah, we could. Well, we're talking about probably doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of. I don't know. Right now, I love the podcast, but I get
it's going to stay. So what we'll do is we'll do a test. I'll have a file.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure I'm able to extract audio and do the same things we're doing now. Nothing will change.
Yeah, I for sure want to be there. Whatever biggest geekest host, I want to be there. I want to try to get to the next one too. Yeah. I want to get in there and chat with those guys. Some good dudes in that group.
And finally, in this segment, which is very long.
Yes, it's not even the main topic, folks.
No. There's a new story out. It's kind of anticlimactic. So apparently there was a data leak at Twitch, and creators and their revenues were exposed to the world. And that's how everybody now is, not everybody, a certain amount of vocal whiny babies on Twitter and elsewhere are talking about how Critical Role made $9 million over the last 2 years on Twitch. And it sounds like a lot of money.
It does.
Over 2 years, you split that in half and divided by 30 people. It's not quite as much.
Still a decent chunk of change, though.
It is. It is.
I wouldn't mind getting that paycheck.
No.
But the
Somebody
point is,
worked it out to like 70,000, around 70,000 a piece.
yeah, that's okay for playing a game and being on TV and on YouTube. Hey, or Twitch is so. When I was watching the Clownfish TV or YouTube video that we have linked here, is were folks upset about it? Like mad that they were making money?
There are some mad folks, and it's not necessarily only because of the money itself. You know, there are some people who, you know, for some reason don't want people to make money.
Commies. I mean, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, pretty much. There are people that for some reason think that they portrayed themselves as just some friends getting together.
Oh.
And you know, maybe at the beginning you could have thought that, but after, with all of the licensing that they've got and sponsors and whatnot, you can't.
The production value, no, it's not that.
No.
And I think what it is, it's a new. I mean, I get what, there are a segment of people that find that sort of actual play, especially because of Critical Role, they get offended at it because they're like, that's not playing D&D. And I think I agree. It's not just a D&D game. It's a show. It's not unlike, let's say, Tale of the Manicore. That's not an actual play. That's a dramatization. He's trying to tell a story using the basic D&D rules as part of as what makes decisions for the characters. And at least mostly, he's done a dramatized actual play. And Critical Role is a variant of that, where you have skilled actors who, from all I can tell, they like D&D.
Yeah.
They're D&D players, but they're doing a new thing. And they're like, let's put our skill as actors into this. And maybe they can't help it because they're actors. Even if they played at my table, they might be just the coolest character at the table because they're like role playing their dude and getting into it. You're like, wow, that dude's pretty cool. If you like that sort of thing, which I do, I appreciate it. But it's a different experience than just us playing D&D tomorrow night with 4 of our friends.
Right. And maybe at the very beginning,
right,
they were just a group of friends.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they started out and said, yeah, let's do this. Maybe we can make some money off of it, which is fine too. I don't care. And
I saw episode 1 of Critical Role, and it was, and I was told by people, don't watch the first campaign. It was kind of cheesy, but even that looked better than what I would put together if we went actual play. But even then, it was a little cheesy. But if you look at it now, it is slick and professional, and they got all the cool toys. I mean, I think Dwarven Forge gives Mercer stuff. I think WotC gives Mercer stuff. He's written his own D&D book. He's got a D&D book. So I mean, they're big time. And you know what? I don't care to watch it. I don't care to watch it, but I say more power to them, dude.
Yeah. If they can make a good living off of it, sure. So now if they live in California, like a lot of people in the industry do, and in the acting industry, and they're all voice actors, 70,000 doesn't get them anything.
No, but like you said, there's also they're probably getting money other ways, not just, that's Twitch money, right?
Right. That's only Twitch money. That's not endorsements. That's not anything else.
And Amazon has an animated series for them that they produced and they kickstarted. Got $11 million, but I think there was an article that was saying that wouldn't have covered the cost of an animated series.
I doubt that Mercer made much money off the D&D book because Wizards don't pay their subcontractors very much. So
no, but as a dungeon master, looking at all the cool things he has, that would be kind of sweet to have WotC. I bet WotC and other companies, it sounds like they give him stuff. He gets lots of cool stuff. I would honestly, I would do that weekly campaign just for the crap that I got.
Right.
Giving me Dwarven Forge and minis and books. I'd be like, yeah, baby. I'll DM every week.
So yeah, but the other thing that people may have a hard time with is the Kickstarter that they ran fairly recently. I'm not sure. I don't know anything really about it, but somebody mentioned it. They ran a Kickstarter, and considering all things, there's 2 ways to look at it. One, everybody kickstarts stuff nowadays, even the big guys. They kickstart things because it's an easy way to make sure that they have interest in what they're putting out.
Look, it's smart. It's a smart business move. And Amazon backed that. It's that animated series they kickstarted, and they got so many, like 11, $12 million for that on the Kickstarter. And you know what I say? So what?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Right.
I mean, well done. Hasbro kickstarted the new Hero Quest, which I should be getting soon. I haven't gotten. But it's I mean, they didn't need to kickstart it. They could have made 400,000 copies of that game and took a chance.
Yeah, it's a much smaller gamble.
Yeah.
You kickstart.
And I think some smaller companies get a little butthurt when they hear that, oh, I can't believe they kickstarted this. And I think one of our friends even said he felt a little bad at first when he heard about it, but he's like,
it's a business model now.
It's a business model. I mean, if we ever get to the point where Mud Sword's a real thing, and after we made it a PDF and it's pretty cleaned up, and if we're like it and our friends are liking it, and we put it on Drive Through RPG and it sells well, I would consider, this could never happen. It could happen. I would consider kickstarting a campaign. Not that we would necessarily use Kickstarter itself, but crowdfunding, make an actual book,
a professional product.
Yeah. I'm not sure Mud Sword will ever get to that point, but I mean, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Critical Role made a pile of money. I don't think anybody who's really paying attention is surprised or upset unless they're commies. But
yeah, I wasn't paying attention, so I was surprised they made that much money, but not really, because I know they have millions of subscribers, so I'm sure they make lots of money. And with their other endorsements and their side jobs, I'm sure they do better than you or I.
Oh yeah.
So
they probably don't have much to worry about.
No.
All right. The other side of that, though, is it being an entertainment. It's not a guaranteed. They don't have something that has residual, I don't think. So unless, well, they used to be on YouTube. So they used to be a YouTuber, but they switched to Twitch. And I'm not sure how Twitch works, but on YouTube, you can have old videos continue to draw revenue. I'm not sure how that works either. It might only be for a certain amount of time, but it's not like they have a television show with advertisers that they get residuals off of, or a movie that they get residuals off of every time someone watches it. So if their Twitch stream ended today, their revenue would end today from Twitch.
Oh, okay.
So who knows? The other stuff could easily end too.
Gotcha.
They stop being a thing. They're not going to be getting any more endorsements or anything like that. So
it's a little tenuous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like relying on that as my main source of income. And granted, big chunks of cash like that, maybe it wouldn't bother. If I was doing that and working, $70,000 on top of what I make, hello.
You could lay up a pretty big nest egg, and then you would not have to worry about if it went away.
Correct. After 4 or 5 years, I'd be like, I don't care if I even play anymore. Let me know on the thing. All right, cool.